Are you planning on remodeling your kitchen anytime soon? Then you're not going to move out in front of that television set because we're going to share with you how our kitchen renovation project turned out. It's all coming up next. More and more Americans are deciding to invest in their homes and not relocate. We started a kitchen renovation project here, and we are so excited about how it turned out. Now, I know on most design shows, they make you stay tuned for the whole half hour before you get to see how it turns out. Well, not on this show. I am so pleased with the job that we did that, well, why don't you come on in with me and see for yourself. Our 1990s kitchen went from this to this. In a kitchen, it's all about the cabinets, and there's a lot of detail in this room. My best friend on this project when it comes to the cabinets, of course, is the cabinet maker, and that's Jim. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
You know, Jim, you are so much fun to work with because, you know, we had Carol designed the layout of the kitchen, the basic layout, and then, you know, we selected you to be the manufacturer. And then we just kind of messed up her design, and you and I just kind of went crazy and did what we needed to do and to make it all come together.
We did. We ran into a lot of things that we didn't expect and unforeseen. Starting out with some of the walls.
Oh, yeah. We wanted to take them out, and we couldn't take out walls because they were supporting walls, unbeknownst to us, and you solved it.
We were ready to order cabinetry, and then once Bill got in here, we figured out that we could not move some of these walls. So we had to revise the design right away.
Yeah.
And get that back on track so we could get the whole project moving along.
Well, let's tell some of our secrets in here, okay? Because the viewers wouldn't know this unless we share it with them. All right, Jim was talking about some of the walls we wanted to take out, and then we found out we couldn't. That was the source of a lot of those holes Bill had to keep filling in. And this was one of the walls right here that we wanted to get rid of. And on top of it is a big steel beam that rests there. This cabinet was going to stop right here. Couldn't have that happen, so what was your solution?
Well, we did an angled cabinet right here since it's a 45-degree wall right there. So we just took a wall cabinet and modified it down to a base cabinet height and cut it on an angle, and that's how we worked with that.
And it looks perfect. It looks like we planned it all the time.
It does.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, the next problem that we had was the size of this island. We wanted a big giant island, and then we went to look for marble slabs and granite slabs, and we found out that we were going to be really close on the size. So what do we do with that?
Well, yeah, we had a certain, the island was designed a certain way and a certain size. And we had to work backwards a little bit. So we got the dimension of the granite, and then we just made some modifications, just making sure our width and length was within those constraints.
Okay, so we could just make a little bit of adjustment here and there as we went along. Now, on this side over here, this is our new pantry, and I love this. Now, all of these kitchens are American hardwoods, and I'll tell you, that's the only product to work with as far as I'm concerned, because you have so many options. Now, over here we have, this is maple.
It's maple.
With an espresso finish on it. And you know, Jim, I love the way you can see the grain come out in those. It's just beautiful over there, and the variants, just for those, especially those men out there that love that wood grain. There you go. Now, over here we had two walls that we couldn't remove. One on the end, and then one that was on the edge of the old wet bar and desk there. We called Jim and we said, come on out here, we got problems. And what did you solve? How'd you solve that?
We did a tall filler piece to separate the two pantries, and one of them is actually covering a wall right there. Then we made the edge of it the same profile as the door style.
Inside these cabinets, Jim put a lot of goodies inside of them, and this is one of my favorites right here. Look at this.
What we have now is something that actually just it pulls out and it swerves around to you on an upper and lower portion. So it brings everything from the back out to the front.
And it just slides back in just as easy as it can be. You know, Lamar's dad is older and he lives here with him, of course, and Jim really considered that and put things in that were easier to operate, a lot of pull-out drawers that we have. All right, now we also had a change on this end because we couldn't get rid of that wall.
Yes.
So what did we do with there?
Well, we had a certain amount of cabinetry that was going on an open wall right there.
Okay.
So we had to downsize a little bit of everything and then extend a little bit of the style on the wall cabinets to kind of come up to that wall nicely and kind of a cut-to-fit situation. And that's all we had to do for that.
That's all he had to do. It makes it sound so easy. Believe me, when I found out these walls weren't coming out and I'd already signed off on the cabinets, my heart was a-pounding until he goes, no, I can still help you out. One of the other things about this kitchen that I love is the mixture of the dark woods and the white together. And that is a real trend right now in kitchens of mixing it up like that. We could have gone with just the island in brown with a white surround, but making those changes and mixing it together gives you the best of both worlds, I think, don't you?
It does, and that's kind of gotten away from the pattern it has been in the past few years because, yeah, you would either have like all the white over here and the white here and maybe a darker island or maybe a different color countertop on the island. But now we're starting to see where they're bringing in some more warmer woods and color, and it has a lot more of a furniture look to it right there also. But they're still using the white paint has also come back into
instead of glazes.
To
have that opaque white. And
yes.
These are maple as well.
They are.
That we have here. So, but just look at the difference in the finish of the solid opaque white, and then of course with the espresso stain. Now, you may think that all these changes that we had to make would only be done if you were a custom cabinet maker, but these are not all custom cabinets.
This is the majority of this is a factory-made cabinet. But what we've done is we've mixed in some custom parts. Okay, we have that luxury to be able to do that. We did a custom hood up here for the vent, which we made, and then we also did the microwave cabinet down here as a custom cabinet. Our profile fillers we talked about before are actually made in a custom shop. So we just mixed in some parts, and we also the door and drawer front right there.
Because we found out after we got the sink put in that the doors wouldn't open and close. So, you know, the point of this is that you need to remember when you're getting ready to make that plan for your new kitchen remodel that you want to work with people that can be flexible because you never know what's behind those walls. So a cabinet company that can use box cabinets, factory-made cabinets, because that's less expensive than going all custom, and then mix it in where you need it. That's the perfect marriage for what you're looking for.
Yes.
And you know what I think is a perfect marriage? Is you working with me on kitchen remodeling projects.
Thank you, Vicki.
You're a sweetheart.
Appreciate it.
Coming up, you'll meet our lead carpenter. He was everyone's best friend on this project. Transforming this home's kitchen took lots of talented contractors and a great lead carpenter that always had their back.
I was the lead carpenter on this job. Lead carpenter entails many things. Not only do you have to know how to run trim, do the framing, the repair on cabinets, whatever else needs to be done. Also had to do quite a bit of sheetrock repair in this house. We had several people cutting holes. I had to repair. There were several holes I cut. I had to repair. But in the end, it all came together pretty good. The lead carpenter also works with all the different trades. He needs general knowledge of the codes that everybody has to go by. He'll work with HVAC, the electricians, the plumbers to make sure everything's going as planned. He also is the liaison between the customer and the contractors, or the customer and the subcontractors. It's his job to kind of place with the customer where they want the phone jacks hooked up, where the Cablevision lines are going, stuff like that. Also, the lead carpenter has to fill in and help out if somebody's running short on something or somebody didn't show up to help or to lift things, whatever needs to be done. You kind of fill that role. And the main job for the lead carpenter is to be an assistant to the general contractor. The lead carpenter is the guy on the job site on a daily basis that kind of manages and handles the temporary little problems that crop up every day. Make sure everything's running as smooth as possible. Had a great time working on this job. Karen Mancuso, the general contractor, was super to work with. The whole team pulled together and worked really, really well. It was more fun than it was work. And anytime you're a lead carpenter, that's a good day's worth of work.
People are always asking me, what do you think of the project? Are you happy with it? But I thought I'd turn that question around and I would ask our general contractor, Karen, how about you? Are you happy with this project and how it turned out?
Vicki, I am. I couldn't be more thrilled with the way that this project did turn out. As you know, we had a few challenges along the way, but I think that the crew handled it beautifully.
Well, I know they all loved working with you, and every time I would come over, or you would call me, or that somebody in the team would call, you know, there was always a way that we could all put our heads together and come out with the right answer and the right solution. And so now when I look around in here, I don't even see those things anymore. And I think that's really the sign of a good design and a good team, is that the problems disappear.
Right, exactly.
If you had to do it all over again, would you change anything?
I don't think I would. I had a blast. We had so much fun working together. We learned a lot together, had a lot of great interactions, built some great business relationships. So no, I think it was all great stuff.
Well, it's always good to me to see, people who really get in there and get their hands dirty. I mean, like on my show, I'm moving furniture around. I'm doing a lot of the dirty work, and every time I would come over, you would have your hands right in the middle of it, and you'd be like elbows deep in caulk paint, whatever it took to get the job done, and that's important. All right, all the viewers are out there, they're looking at this kitchen and they're going like, I really want to, do my kitchen. I got to do my kitchen over. If you could give them like about, 3 points of advice to consider, what would those 3 points be?
Well, I think the most important thing for homeowners when they're considering any renovation or remodel is that they really, really pay attention to what their goals are, and then go ahead and match those goals to what the expectation is, and then the reality of the project. Plan. Do your homework. Go out there and investigate ahead of time really what it's going to entail, not only from the standpoint of financial commitment, but also, what's it going to mean to you and your lifestyle? What are you going to have to put aside or adjust a little bit?
Can you stay in the house or move out, those kind of things?
Be willing to be a little bit flexible, because it usually works out great.
And I think flexibility is really the key element, because, you're into a project like this, you're deep in. I mean, once they started ripping out, once Jerry started ripping out these cabinets, there was no going back.
Exactly.
And you have to be able to accept those and say, how are we going to work together to do it? And I think you did a wonderful job with the team. It was a real joy for me, too.
Well, they were awesome. Couldn't have done it without them. They were the best.
If you're planning a kitchen project around your house, listen to what Karen says. Get a great team of workers together. Do your homework, make your plans, and remain flexible. You're going to love the way it turns out. We're happy with the way it turned out, but did we please our homeowner?
6 weeks ago, I could not have imagined or envisioned things turning out as well as they have. Now that everything is complete, I got all the things I had wished for. Number one, I got the granite countertops. I got the new island, new flooring, appliances. My dad and I are real pleased with this. And now I've got to talk to Vicki about my bathroom, my outdoor patio, and many other things. We are real pleased.
There are a lot of elements to consider when planning a kitchen makeover, such as what type of materials you're going to use for your countertops. Do you need new windows? What color of paint should you use? There are so many beautiful materials you can select from, and you need to select the contractors that will be installing them. You could select the greatest materials ever, but if they're not installed properly, then you won't be happy with the final results. Do your homework and take the time to find out about the products you want to use and get references on all your subcontractors before you start any remodeling projects. It was really important for this project to put in larger windows in the kitchen, and every time I started talking about that with any of the workers, they'd all say, when are the stucco guys getting here? And I'm thinking to myself, what's the big deal about this stucco guy? So I decided to ask the stucco guy, Curtis, the same question. Why does everybody want you to show up before a hole gets cut in the house?
Well, you just can't cut that hole with any saw. It's a concrete product, so we have to be careful with it and cut it just the right way so we don't disturb the wall around it,
Now, how thick is this stucco on here?
The stucco's about 7/8.
Almost an inch?
Almost an inch thick.
Wow, you wouldn't think
it's concrete.
It's concrete.
Right.
So you have to have a special blade to do that, and you have to know what you're doing.
Absolutely. Or you can crack the stucco around it. You want to cut it just right so that we're just cutting just what we need in this case, because we're replacing and enlarging the window opening. So we want to cut it just right so we don't have to mess up any more than we have to.
Okay, now you put a nice decorative band around the outside, which actually ties in. That wasn't on the old window there.
No, it wasn't.
But that ties in with the banding that's on some of the other windows in the house.
Right.
What was the purpose of that?
Well, the 3 inches that we cut out for the hole, we end up using a flange type window, so we end up having to cut the stucco out in order to get the flange window in. Okay. Once that was in, then we reflashed it and filled it full of foam basically, and did the trim around it, just so that less concrete work we had to do.
Well, it looks great. It matches the house perfect. And next
Absolutely.
time I've got one of these windows going in a stucco house, we're not touching anything until Curtis gets there.
That's it.
Thanks, Curtis.
Appreciate it.
New windows are an important part of most remodeling projects. We need to have custom windows created for our project so Curtis doesn't have to disturb too much of the outside stucco. We also want windows that will match the existing house and provide lots of natural daylight for the kitchen.
When Vicki first contacted me about the kitchen renovation here at this house, one of the main reasons they wanted to do this was to bring more natural light into the home. They did presently have 2 double hung windows over this area, and what we did was to increase the opening, put in a casement window so that you would get more ventilation into the house and more natural light. Also, a casement window is much easier to open over top of the kitchen sink as you don't have to reach over to the middle of it. One of the nice things about this is that the product may qualify for the energy tax credit, and when that tax credit is up to the government when it would end, but you do need to check your manufacturer's websites concerning that.
Granite countertops are one of the top items Lamar requested for his new kitchen. I selected a granite mix of brown and white to tie everything together.
When you see a countertop in a kitchen layout of this size, the last thing that you want to see is the seam. This becomes such a focal point, such a gathering spot for the kitchen. You really want the material to flow all together. And with that said, that communication in the beginning from the double sink to the size of the seating area and the viewing of the slabs, really taking that extra time, those few couple hours up front can save you just a massive amount of aggravation on the end part of the project, and it really becomes just exactly what you had pictured from the beginning. And that's what's so nice about having that communication from the cabinet guy to the granite supplier to the granite installer. So that's what just really brings a project like this together.
Scott and his crew also installed the white subway tiles throughout the kitchen. Both the granite and the tiles provide an everlasting durable surface. A fresh coat of paint to the kitchen and a great faux finish on the dining room really helped to unify these two spaces.
When you're dealing with walls, there's a lot of different finishes that you can use. When you have a wall that's going to be getting a lot of use and really a lot of action like in a kitchen, you want to do definitely an eggshell and maybe a satin. But where you have areas that don't have quite as much, maybe kids or dogs running around, you can definitely use something a little bit with a lower sheen like a matte or even a flat. The difference is that the higher the sheen, the better durability you're going to get, but the lower the sheen, you're going to kind of hide some imperfections in the walls. So it's really depending on what you're going after. If you really want the hideability, then you'll go with a matte. But if you really are going towards durability, you want to go with a higher sheen. So in this case, like with trim, you definitely want to use a semi-gloss because that's going to get a lot of handprints and stuff like that. So
Ray's faux finish on the dining room was a nice surprise for Lamar. The new kitchen layout provided ample room for a cozy seating room. With all the dirty work out of the way, it was time to decorate the seating area. We've been talking a lot about the other end of this kitchen, but there's a whole other side of this room, and I'm really excited about how it turned out. Originally, we had a pantry built into this area. We didn't need that anymore. We tore it out, and it gave us this great space to do some new seating areas in. I called on my friend Cecil Adams. You guys all know him from the show because I said, I need a table for this space. And Cecil, how did you know that this new table would work perfect for me?
Well, when you called and explained how the room was going to be used, I thought of this immediately. We're just introducing this piece, and it has a lot of great function. And also the finish, the gray wash finish, I thought would be perfect.
I do. I love the way it goes with a natural linen. It has some real, even though this is a real slick area, this really is soft and inviting. The table too, we can drop those leaves down if we want, put it up, we can move it out here. Use it in lots of different ways.
Right. It has a lot of uses. He could use it for an intimate dinner. He could use it to read. He could use it for a bar during a party so that everybody's not just in one space in the kitchen.
Perfect. We need a lamp, though. What you got for me on the lamp?
Well, I brought you 3 options.
Of course you did.
I brought you this tea caddy, which these are typically toll painted, and we just stripped it down to kind of give it a little of an industrial chic look.
And that's really popular right now,
That
isn't
is
it?
very popular. It's also what we were thinking of when we did this recycled glass lamp. And then we have a terracotta lamp here that has a nice texture to it and color.
I love this blue. I really do love the blue. Out of the three of them, I think this is the one I want to go with. I like the soft blue. It ties in great with the original art that Lamar has here on the wall. Let me see the shade to this, but I think that's the winner.
Okay. I knew you'd like that blue one. And I've got the finial right here.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I love the linen. It's just like it. It's just a little lighter color, and it matches the chairs. It works in perfectly.
Now, when we were picking out the pendants for this space, I was also thinking about the whole kind of industrial look. And so we used a pendant with a really heavy finish, antique mirror inside to dress it up a little bit, add a little sparkle. I thought it would really add a nice texture to the room that you created.
And you know, when you first recommended it, I thought, I don't know, it's pretty slick in here, but it was absolutely the perfect thing. Even the electrician loved it. And then we called you and said, do you have one more in stock? Send it to go over the sink. We liked them so well.
We got it to you overnight.
See, so you always come up with just exactly what I need, and I think this is an absolute winner.
Well, thank you.
I selected a pair of custom chairs upholstered in natural linen. The gray weather table is an exact match to the linen, making the space look much more spacious and calming. The sisal rug, it's a little bit lighter in color, but still the same tone as the furniture. A rug helps to define the space and pull all of these elements together.
Well, what I learned about cabinetry in this project was pretty much everything. I had to go out first and take a look at cabinets in different locations, and there were so many styles to choose from. I just didn't have an idea that there were that many styles and materials that you can choose from, and the contemporary, the transitional, and the traditional styles. Also, the hardware that goes along with the cabinets are important because, I mean, that's like a tie with a suit. It enhances what you choose. And then the colors that were involved. You know, there are so many colors to choose from, and could you mix colors, or did you have to go with one solid color all the way through? And I was thinking that you had to go with solid colors. I kind of liked the dark espresso color that we chose, but I thought that it would have to go all the way through, and I found out that you could mix and match and make things work quite well. So there was quite a bit I learned about cabinets, quite honestly. When you get involved with a project of this magnitude, there are always conditions and circumstances that will arise that had not been accounted for. And you're going to have to get involved because you're going to have to make a decision finally, because it's you that the people are trying to please. So in my case, for instance, there were walls that we wanted to move, and we couldn't do so because it was supporting the upstairs. There were also some other decisions. Now, they advised me as to what the options were, but ultimately you and I, as the homeowner, would have to make the decisions on that. So staying involved is key, and making sure that the job goes well, and that at the end that we're all pleased with what happens. Well, you know, having a woman general contractor was unusual. I'd never really met one before, and not that this is what I'm involved in, but I had been around construction growing up. It kind of helped supplement my college days, but and that's many years ago, so there weren't women in this industry at the time. But after I got to know Karen, I kind of liked this because I think she gave a really good perspective to the job as a whole. She kind of took personal ownership into it, and I even offered to do certain things, and she didn't want me to do so. And in doing so, I think that the job went a lot smoother, and I was real pleased with having her here. Before this project was finished, I didn't do much entertaining. The reason for it mainly was because of my father being here, for one thing, but I think he enjoys entertaining as much as I. But the second thing was looking at the kitchens and homes of some of my friends who had new homes, and they had just gorgeous kitchens. I kind of felt like mine wasn't up to par at the time, so I would rather do things over at my girlfriend's house and entertain over there. But now that I have this brand new, beautiful kitchen, and I have a lot of friends, I definitely feel like I'm going to do quite a bit of entertaining. As a matter of fact, the first entertaining that we did was the night after the project was finished, and I think it went over quite well, so I'm looking forward to the next occasion.
This kitchen is also about function. Our unique cleanup area provides a large sink for bigger pots and pans. The smaller sink is equipped with a garbage disposal, making cleanup quick and easy. One faucet works for both sinks. The island is equipped with a prep sink and another garbage disposal. The new stainless steel appliances are all energy efficient and provide ample space for storage, cooking, and cleanup. If you're planning to remodel the kitchen at your house, get together a great team of workers, people you can really count on and trust. Then do your homework. Do those plans, and by all means, remain flexible. You're going to love the way it turns out.
If you would like additional information about today's guests or project ideas, please visit us on the web at foryourhome.com. We will do our best to help you out.